and gentlemen, we're back in Berlin for the decider between Vitality and Misfits Gaming. And after a rough start to the split, Vitality have a chance to pick up a strong victory here in the first series of cross-group play. With the decider game against Misfits Gaming, they have side selection in Game 3, and they've elected to take blue side Trace.
Well, I don't think that that's any surprise on that, because Misfits, although they've looked great in both games, I think that their draft may have been a little bit more solid in their minds in Game 1, where they got the Zac, they got the Rakan, they got the Varus, Corki, all of these good things. And it all worked out well for them, but I mean, they were a little slow off the mark at times in Game 2. Yeah, they absolutely were, and of course, we got to give some kudos to Vitality in Game 2. There was criticism from both you and I around their decision-making process, their willingness to do things, and they proved on both of those fronts with the comp in Game 2 that Vitality were willing to go at Misfits, start fights, roam, engage, re-engage, and it worked in their favor. Yeah, as we get closer to the game, we have got a couple of minutes before we get into the game. I think we should look at two of the players that maybe did a little better than we were expecting on Vitality, or at least the ones that we were saying needed to step up. And the analyst has talked a lot about Nukeduck, and we look at Steelback as well as another player who performed a higher in Game 2 of this series, and we've seen pretty much all split long. And I think the Twitch has to be a pick that Misfits have to address now. Maybe you ban that out. I think so too. And I also think, though, in order to have those performances, you also need that front line to work. Nukeduck definitely pulling a lot of threat. Vander was on point with his lanterns. I mean, the whole squad from Vitality played better in Game 2. Just to give you guys a quick update, we do have a brief pause, as Ignar is just off stage. He will be setting up shortly. And it lets me tell another little story that not everybody is a huge fan of. You know, I'm a fantasy LCS fan. Of course. Stress. I talk about it, you know, every now and again. Non-stop. Not that often. A new record was broken in fantasy. Power of Evil has already scored 144 fantasy points. Ooh. It is, of course, doubled because this is the only series he plays. It's 77 based on the two games. And it is the highest single scoring player all split long. And he's on my team. Ha! But the real thing is, the person... Thank you, fantasy players! But the person playing against you at least got 2 points per game. They did indeed. They got 2 points per game because PoE is on a 36-game streak. Yeah. Where he's given up at least one day. We'll see if it makes it 37. We're going to pick some bans. One last thing on fantasy. Vedius has Alfari, Ignar, and Hansama, and he's already at 280 points. So for anyone that plays against him, in this case, Dracos, yeah, good luck, mate. We're in to pick some bans for the deciding game here of Group A versus Group B. Misfits have already banned away the Xayah, the Galio, Zac and Ken in reply. Thresh is on my mind. And last time, Elise has been banned out in previous games. So with Zac banned, as you said, Thresh, you would anticipate goes up in priority, but I wouldn't mind actually seeing Misfits throw a spanner in the works and maybe pick like a Rakan first. Something like this that we've seen them pair with other support, with other AD carries, but that I like. I like this ban coming out. The Twitch is the best pick we've seen so far for Steelback. Get it out of there. Don't let him play it. See what Vitality can bring to the table. Well, Vitality have said no Thresh for Ignar. Remove that away from him. Ignar, definitely one of the stronger performing Thresh players, and with Elise available, Maxwell instantly going to lock that win in, despite, by the way, having Lee Sin available, but that's also a denial from Joko, somebody who has a wealth of Elise games under his belt. Yeah, exactly, and now we look at the attention Vitality have to play. They've highly prioritized Rumble in each game and won the laning phase every time because of it. Now, will it be Tahm Kench? Will it be Rakan? Is it going to be that Lee Sin coming through? Or maybe even Kha'Zix for Joko? We'll have to take a look at as we go throughout the draft. A lot of time to figure that out. First time we're going to see Ashe this series. I think that's clever as well, because it's going to deny it from Misfits. When you've already got an Elise locked in for Misfits, you've got a pretty key ingredient in an early game pick champion. The Ashe would just make that more powerful from longer range, and it's one of the key tools that allowed Misfits to actually win this series last week. Yeah, it was, and the Varus will be the response coming out from Misfits most likely. As you see, it is locked in. Oh, the Blitzcrank's available. Oh, indeed. Oh. We got some Blitzcranks fans in the audience. Well, as long as this golem rolls, there won't be any dust on Misfits at the end of this series, but nevertheless, we'll have to watch this one as it goes. What I'm a fan of are the Blitzcrank from Ignar and Misfits is the fact that
Ignore ran it in their loss last week to G2.
Yeah.
And then stuck with it in the third game, where it was a victory. And Stress, while we're waffling about Blitzcrank, Olaf has been locked in here for Joko.
So Olaf, we have seen it's a lot of junglers start to pick up once you go deeper into the champion pool. But when Kha'Zix is normally available, well, while it's available, but we've seen the likes of Rek'Sai we've started to see over in LCK and LPL. Olaf, of course, good for running through fights. Not great, no, Blitzcrank's not super great against an Olaf, where you can just kind of not really hook him, but we'll have to watch how Joko can do. Historically, it has been a decent pick for him.
3 games played, 2 wins, 1 loss on the 2017 season for Joko and Olaf. And of course, if he gets hooked by Blitz, I like it, and all the CC that's already on offer. Shen, once again, finds himself in the ban pool. Kled was the other Phase 2 ban from Vitality. Tom Kench, the response from Misfits. And we need to see what Vander's going to run in the support role. I guess Braum is still up and available if he wants to go that route. Looking at some of his other champion pool, I mean, Galio was banned away.
Play something crazy like
Rakan's still available as well.
Yeah, you could play Rakan. Play something crazy like an Alistar into Blitzcrank. Really give him something that can punish. And it's going to be the Braum. It's going to be the boring pick in the bottom lane. But it's fine. Like Ashe, Braum, good engage, good amount of push potential. And you can kind of deny a lot of what the Blitzcrank wants to do. Now, Ignar will roam heavily, look out towards the mid lane, try and get picks over there. But if this is a Corki that comes through, which hasn't been banned, then Misfits have a champion that can very easily escape a Blitzcrank hook.
All right, will they commit to a 3rd game of Corki for Power of Evil, or will Nukeduck look for a counter pick in that regard? When the LeBlanc is banned away once more, Alfari going to be the recipient of Jarvan in the top lane. Something we have seen significantly more of, definitely becoming more and more standard. And mid lane pick for PoE. Safe, reliable, I mean, Syndra's still up, Orianna's still up.
Orianna would synergize well with the Jarvan, of course, and give them decent teamfight presence. And not a whole lot of things you can pick against the Orianna that are going to heavily punish it. The Lucian would be available if Nukeduck would want it, and that is a lane that, you know, a lot of teams have used against the Orianna. You get the early laning advantage and then just push and try and get the side lane presence at the same time. Does decently well at escaping Blitzcrank as well.
And it was banned in both previous games. Nukeduck is feeling it. He's locked in Lucian in the mid lane. And it is a snowbally champion. The analyst desk talked specifically about Lucian earlier in the day and how it is very reliant on snowballs, very reliant on early game. And Vitality, well, actually, they've had pretty good early games this split.
They have.
For the most part.
For the most part. Now, I mean, if you give Nukeduck a kill or 2 early on, with this Lucian, you should be able to do a lot of work. The problem is, if he doesn't dodge out an Ignar hook, if he doesn't dodge out a Cocoon early game, because likely that's where Misfits are going to go, either mid lane or top lane, then Vitality may be crippled from this Lucian in the middle lane. Just like we've seen so many teams be. Like Splice couldn't play around the Lucian. G2 couldn't play around the Lucian. The only European team really that has been able to is H2K.
Let's see whether or not Vitality join those ranks. About 8 hours ago, one of our stats team predicted a 2-1 victory in favor of Vitality. Is he the new prophet or not? You guys jump on Twitter, tell us if you agree. Hashtag VIT win. Will upset league continue? Will we start cross-group play with Misfits going down to Vitality? That's the question we're about to answer. And that's the question you and I get to witness, Chris.
We absolutely do. How much is that team paying you for all of this?
Not enough, I'm afraid.
Okay, we'll see if Misfits can squash the bee, just like a swatted fly, or whether Vitality can sting back for a 2-1 win on this series.
Oh, we're going to see.
They're going to have to just lean on some of their good carries if they really want to squash this bug.
Yep, and there's 2 good carries indeed for Vitality. A lot of damage to speak of.
Okay, so Vitality aren't playing into it right now, but
they could be.
Basically, solo queue, what happens is you go to the enemy blue buff with Blitzcrank. One thing you can do in competitive, because people always try and get vision over the Raptors, is you sit 5 people at the Raptors and they never get away.
And of course, go back to game 1. when Nuke was moving in to contest those Raptor camp. It was some shenanigans, some evil shenanigans that Vitality were putting together. Unfortunately, no response from Ignar, no lucky hook. He's going to have to go fishing elsewhere.
I thought he was coming back for a second. Look, he's thinking about it. They're thinking whether they want to actually go. And look, Hansama and Ignar now venture back towards the ward, but it's nothing. It's a whole lot of nothing going on in the beginning of this one. But the ward that Vitality initially placed will spot out Maxlaw's starting area on this blue buff. Hasn't spotted him yet because he's been in the bush. But it will. As soon as he crosses out, Misfits are already in the lane looking for that hook. And it's going to be a devastating lane if that hook lands on Ash. Braum can't do a whole lot to defend if it lands early, but look, Vitality wait for the minion lane, minion wave, and just walk into lane.
Yeah, you need multiple levels for Braum to be able to stand behind me and then put up the Unbreakable combo that we have seen a few times already. This split. Alphari, by the way, starting W, that Golden Aegis on Jarvan, expecting some early trading into Cabo. Cabo's once again on the Rumble. He's had very good games on this Rumble. Laning phase has been strong into Alphari. Team fights, most of the equalizers have been pretty good.
Yeah, there's that one.
The odd one has gone a bit awry, but at the end of the day, it's had enough impact for Vitality to force the deciding game.
And I find it interesting that Alphari goes to this Jarvan because won't have the easiest of laning phases into Rumble. You can obviously punish in more all-in trades, but won't exactly be easy to capitalize. And that'll mean Maxlaw might have to come topside. Of course, playing this Elise was standing just out of vision for a while, but was spotted by Nuke coming through the Raptor area. They know exactly where Maxlaw is.
Yeah, and of course this Jarvan struggles in a fair few lane matchups, but definitely more impactful in the mid-game.
Yeah.
Once you get that Cataclysm down, he's a good ball delivery system for Power of Evil. I mean, so is Maxlaw on the Elise, to be fair. There's options for him. But we need to see from Power of Evil, honestly, a performance of Nuke's caliber from the previous game. Nuke's Orianna was fantastic.
But whose Orianna has always been impressive.
Yeah.
Whether he's taken Smite, or Teleport, or whatever summoner, Power of Evil, you always feel does well on this Orianna pick. It's one of his synonymous.
Come on! Ignar didn't even BM. No laugh, no dance. Control 3. Control 3!
Okay, maybe he hasn't got it.
We'll wait for it. I shouldn't actually be doing that. The referees on stage will tell me off after game. But Ignar zoning away Steelback and Vanda. This is just really lane dominance. Plus 7 CS already. Yes, there's a wave pushing to Steelback, so he'll be able to catch that up very quickly. But confident play in the 2v2.
Just gotta love the skin choice though, because you get the horn, like the Dukes of Hazzard style horn that comes through. Ignar, however, just gonna secure vision on the bottom side. Vitality have full topside control, and that's where we now gotta look at where Joko is going aggressive to try and deny the Elise gank potential here, but I think Joko might be a little bit late because Elise is already making her way up into that lane.
All right, this is going to be a 2v2. The flag and drag's already caught out Cabochard. He's holding on to the flash. Flashes away from the cocoon. Here comes Joko. Alphari gets first blood. Joko responds, and Maxwell's forced to run away. So kill secured by Joko, the jungler for Vitality, and Alphari, the top laner, with the first blood bonus.
So Maxlaw gets his effect off up in the top side. That first blood should help Alphari get through this laning phase and build effectively against this Rumble. But if Olaf camps him, if Olaf comes back to the top side and Alphari uses his EQ combo, he doesn't have flash available. Same could be said for Maxlaw. We're going for round 2.
We are indeed. Cocoon catches onto Cabo. Alphari and Maxlaw. Yeah, they don't want to change. It's always a drop down. There was only ever one Matrix movie made. Refuse to acknowledge the rest. He has a replay of that first blood stress.
Yeah, this one. Easy EQ combo on to Cabochard into the rest of the damage following through. A little unfortunate that they didn't get the kill just before Cabo flashed out, but they trade flash for flash. Alphari gets the kill. First blood traded back. And now Ignar's on the roam. Looking for that hook in the mid lane, but here against Illusion, it's not really going to happen.
Yeah, so tough to catch somebody with Relentless Pursuit.
Yeah.
And flash and exhaust, by the way. Well, there we go. The E's been used. Couple of pings onto him. Nukeduck, 10 seconds before the E's available again. Flash hook, flash hook, flash hook. No, no, getting too excited, getting too antsy here.
Yeah, it's not quite the same when you're like, walk in division, walk in division.
Yeah, that's also true.
Igna's just like, okay, I've had enough of this. I'm going back to lane.
I'll stress, in the previous game, 48 kills were secured between Misfits and Vitality. It is the tied for 4th most kills in the 2017 season.
Okay. That's a lot of kills.
It is indeed. 48, then 49, then 53, then 54. Those are the records.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
It is. I mean, I'm so glad you're enthralled by this information. And Misfits, they will hope to not do that again, right? They're looking for a more clean game. Find a pick with Blitz or set up an engage with Jarvan.
I love how the meta is at a point where we're like, they want a clean game with the Blitzcrank.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Just get the Blitz hood, get the kill, clean game. Don't need anything else.
I love this meta.
It's so good. I'm
very excited about it.
You can just play almost any champion this year. It's great. I do think Blitzcrank is a little underwhelming to watch when it's failing, though.
Yeah.
Because you just have that sense that nobody is really happy. You're not happy, the enemy aren't happy, viewers aren't happy.
Yeah, exactly. The impact of a Blitzcrank with no vision just kind of fizzles.
Yeah, exactly.
Glad we have a vision toggle here. Alfari just walked into the river, and Vitality's control ward will spot out Ignar. I don't think Vitality know Maxlaw is inside the top lane, and Cataclysm blocks his entry. Cocoon catches onto Cabo Shot. Venomous Bite comes down as well, and Maxlaw and Alfari just double team Cabo. Jump to the mid lane really quickly. Nukeduck is moving forward with that E. Has already used his culling, by the way. That is on cooldown. And Joko with vision control. He's going for another blue buff invade here, Stress.
Yeah, and you know, Joko has been very effective going up against Maxlaw, and Joko's just going to wait. He knows he's got this control warded. Oh, Maxlaw!
Look at the damage. Joko's looking for Maxlaw. Maxlaw drops down. Command Protect comes up. Shockwave catches onto Joko. Here comes Nukeduck. Culling will be available very, very soon. Flashes for flashes. Ignar's available for support. He's going to catch onto Nukeduck. Shockwave's on cooldown. It was used onto Joko in the pit. Ignar is now running for his life, and Joko successfully invades, gets himself a kill, and steals away a buff. That's actually the 7th of the series. Really good play for Joko in terms of controlling some of those buffs and locking them down.
So this is all the way back to the attempt in the top side. They should have known that something was up because Ignar was on his way, but I don't think they were anticipating Maxlaw going into lane that early on. The Blitzcrank maybe gave him a false sense of security, and it was for the kill up in the top side was easy to pick off, but so was this one for Joko. Aggressive onto Maxlaw. Nowhere really to return to, and it's an easy kill. Despite the shield coming through and the shockwave, Joko just too strong. Too much damage early on, and Misfits have to back away from there.
Yeah, and Maxlaw flashing fairly late there, I feel. Ended up going on cooldown and still dying. Nukeduck jumps in, piercing right connects the culling. Wow, Power Eagle eating nearly every single shot. And Nukeduck able to completely push Power of Evil away. There's some stats from his game too. Just really, really phenomenal performance. 810 damage per minute on Orianna. Just tells you how involved he was in those 48 kills. Jump to the top lane. Glacial Fissure goes down. You heard the horn, the power horn, Dukes of Hazzard. And of course, it just ends up being a little bit of a fizzle.
Yeah, about as good as the movie they made. Don't watch it. Glad there wasn't
the remake, of course.
Yeah, of course, of course. Yeah. Now, as we settle into this game, as it's going to get a bit of a longer game because there hasn't been this big impact in the early game that we've been expecting. Yes, there's been a couple of kills, but this isn't a loose, open game. You have to look now where Power of Evil, where Hansama are looking to go with this, and Power of Evil opting towards the Rod of Ages, a little bit more of a tanky, stacking build. Not the usual build that we see out of Orianna's. You see the Morellonomicon going in towards Rabadon's Deathcap most of the time. But this is kind of a Power of Evil special, right? He always has these unique little twists that nobody else quite is doing. You see it every so often, but we'll make him tankier, a little bit more
utility-based. We'll see how that actually works out for him, because right now he's going to need Maxwell's help.
Yeah, it's a 2-on-3. The equalizer's being used. Maxwell tried to deliver the shockwave. That's at least a kill onto Nukeduck. Now Maxwell's being run down. Alfari's looking for the Cataclysm. He's locked Joko in. Joko can't get across the wall. Ignar finds the rocket punch and the grab onto Cabo Shot. Now Alfari's running for his life. Asharo comes down, flies wide. It's a 1-for-2 in favor of Misfits.
Well, that's one use of the Jarvan in response to the Olaf. The Olaf ult will get you out of just about everything, but terrain will block you in. It's enough to get the 2-for-1 trade in favor of Misfits and continue a good early game streak from them, but they needed that to kind of fire back against Vitality, because Vitality had started making a swap up towards top side. We're looking to offset some of the aggressive plays that Cabochard has been on the receiving end of, but Misfits now stabilizing a slight lead.
Yeah, of course, Misfits, they maintain that 1,000 gold lead. They've got themselves a Jarvan who's got 3 of the 4 kills, which is crucially very important. And the game is kind of played around the AD carries. We've not seen Hansama or Steelback hugely pivotal yet. That Ash Arrow flew a little wide, and you'll actually see a replay of this one. I say AD carries, I mean the actual role.
Yeah.
Not the champions.
It's okay. we knew what it was. We knew what you were talking about. Nukeduck ended up falling on this one quite easily. It's an easy combo for Maxwell to get the kill, and then Joker's like, I've got this. That really is painful when you see an Olaf getting caged in, but then Misfits just pull back away. The important thing you're talking about with AD carries is if it maintains like this, then Steelback is going to be on one of these back foot rolls where we've criticized Vitality for. If he's just an ult tool with no damage coming through, that's when they haven't looked successful. That's when Vitality have looked underwhelming. And that can't happen to me after seeing the last game of how good Steelback did. This damage per minute, super high, like maybe second only to Cobby on the Twitch.
Yep, which, quite possible. I mean, Steelback's previous record was 748 damage per minute, and he was playing Varus against H2K. So he did even more. I mean, look, again, 24 kills for the team, 48-minute game. All of those things are going to play into his favor for what is a fairly generic stuff, but an interesting one, nonetheless.
Well, something that also is interesting is Vitality's lack of vision control. Once again, means that Dragon is going to Misfits.
Yeah, another early Dragon to Misfits, another valuable Dragon as well. May the odds be ever in your favor, is apparently what Misfits are saying, because they got triple Infernals in the previous game, and then game 1 it started with a Mountain as well. They just got themselves another Mountain Drake. But look at the mini-map, guys. Vitality starting to threaten. Ash Arrow is available, and there's a ward inside the Sentinel pit. So if Misfits overstep, they're starting to surround Vitality, and could be up to another team fight. Blue buff says, no, this belongs to Misfits. Remember I talked earlier, Joko has stolen 7 buffs this series already. Looking to make it number 8. Blue buff secured onto Max Law. Flashes used to dodge the Ash Arrow. Nukeduck is going to dash over the wall. Ignar will pick up a kill. There's a hook onto Cabo. He's under the tower, and Power of Evil gets another. Nukeduck's culling does nothing, and it's 2 kills to Misfits.
Vitality going way too far into Misfits territory for a blue buff of all things. It doesn't quite connect for them. Misfits are able to take the fight on the tail end of it, and now they're going to lose the tower in the bottom side. Vitality get pushed away from that Rift Herald, and it means that Misfits are in full control of a 3rd game in this series.
So let me just summarize. Misfits get first blood. Misfits get first dragon. Misfits get tower first blood. They're up 3 kills already, and they've got a team composition that can shine in the mid-game. And this is how the play happened. Good response to the engage from Vitality on the Misfit side.
Yeah, and you can see Ash Arrow, again, not connecting. It was from range, but still not quite there. And Caboche puts himself just too close to the fire. Max range hook. And Caboche under the tower just completely falls apart. Like, Misfits, just a scratch of the head for Caboche. Nothing really more to say about that. That sucks,
because you look at that, you're like, that hook wasn't even for me. I wasn't meant to eat that.
It's like, Steelback, why didn't you take that one?
Yes, Vander, you were on the front line. That was your hook, with your name on it. But hooks don't discriminate. They just catch whoever's in front of them.
Yep.
And it ended weaker than it started.
Yeah, it's okay. It's fine.
Tower number 2 falls in favor of Misfits as 15.5 minutes have gone by. And Vitality are 2,500 gold down. Down in every single objective. On the plus side, they also get enabled in the mid game, right? Ash Arrow, plus Lucian, plus Olaf and Rumble. There's a lot of tools that Vitality can use to try and silence the crowd who are trying to put together a Misfits chant.
It's getting there. The Misfits chant is getting there. You know, maybe after a Baron will be all orchestrated in time, but everything for Misfits right now is looking good. They've got side lane control utilizing this Javan. He can fight Nuke Duck or Cabo Shard, basically whichever one takes a step out to the side wave. Now you can see nearly at that Titanic Hydra point for Alphari. Igna says, look at me now.
This is my Krug. No more the others. Steals away the big one.
Krug life right there.
Here we go. Looking at the minimap, and once again, Rift Herald has started. It feels like Misfits have just had really significantly better objective control if they can get this one cleanly. Ash Arrow is available and could come from mid lane. Flash forward. Means Nuke Duck is forced to flash himself. Ash Arrow from Steelback, still not fired, still not fired. Power of Evil.
On Olaf again.
It's another one. Alphari's locked Joker into the pit. Shockwave picks up a double kill for Power of Evil, and my fantasy is ecstatic.
You mean LCS fantasy, right? Like
no,
getting into
my fantasy. Fantasy LCS. I'm going to win. Well, this is a pretty confident game here, Stress.
Yeah, it is. It's a confident game. It looked like Rift Herald was just spawned as well towards the middle lane. That's Inatara in the top lane going through.
Equalizer
Rift Herald cares not for your brawl.
He's been summoned. Cabashot flashes over the wall. He's able to burn down Ignar. Power of Evil's running for his life, but the Winter's Bite stings and Steelback shuts him down.
Misfits in too much of a hurry to try and get too many objectives. They were pushing top side, recall out with Hans Sama and Alphari, and then to spawn Rift Herald way far away without pushing the wave up. Really didn't address the fact that Vitality was still standing in the mid lane. So this is how it all started. Couple of problems here for the Doctor of Progonomics. Ignar at this point couldn't really see Nuke Duck and really had to back away off the hook, but Hans Sama makes it easy. Just gets that chain of corruption. Then here we go, Alphari once again says to Joko, there's no escape. Easy second kill. And this is where Misfits look a little bit kind of just spread too thin. They spawn Rift Herald, looking to try and go aggressive. Power of Evil can't quite output enough damage now and can't escape away from Cabo Shard, and it just means Misfits to get a lead, extend their lead, and don't lose it, but get slowed down quite heavily.
Yeah, punished by the engage from Vitality, and I see what you see. I see what you see indeed. The stinger.
Nash's Tooth has been completed by... Okay, so let's...
Well, hold that thought. Joko gets pulled forward. He's Ragnarocking and Ragnar-rolling. There's going to be an instant repel from Maxwell. He jumps down to the honey fruit teleport being channeled by Cabo Shard. He's looking to jump onto the banana bush. And Alphari's got the baby cage. The Cataclysm is available. And who will get locked in? Rocket Grab catches Banda. Cocoon catches Banda. Power of Evil with Nash's Tooth sinks his fangs in.
Once that extra attack speed, those empowered auto attacks of Orianna, just make sure you go and get it. You can see H2K getting ready for a
Look
big
at Yankos. Yankos is trying to figure out what's going on here.
He's saying,
those hands.
Look, a Mountain Drake, an Infernal Drake, not even SKT would give up this game, just like he tweeted during the last one. Unfortunately, Yankos not quite the prediction that would have gone his way.
Yeah. Misfits, by the way, with the lead at 20 minutes. 25-3 record here in the LCS. This is a significant lead, if ever I've seen one. 5,000 gold. That's thanks to plays like this, where Ignar, I think he landed 3 hooks in a row. Admittedly, it was like shooting fish in a barrel, but still, it counts.
Yeah, gets one onto the Olaf, and then that kind of turns Olaf's aggression on. Wasn't quite enough for Vitality to be able to continue this fight. So that was the first hooker actually landing. Fast forward a little bit more. Easy one on Bando as well. Right next to him, Cocoon. Everything combos very well for Misfits. They work well off these single target crowd control abilities. And honestly, I think that's really deadly, giving them a combination of this, whether it's the Blitzcrank, the Elise. We've seen the Ashe and the Varus have that kind of effect as well. A little less single target, a little bit more AoE, but still.
Stress, I know Orianna has some ability power.
Yeah.
Scaling in her passive.
Yes.
That clockwork wind-up. I want you to talk to me about this Nash's Tooth and why you think it was locked in. Power of Evil, the man in the middle. Never been one to bow to meta. Ashe Arrow between the uprights. That's not going to work.
No, not going to work. It's an interesting one, because as you said, the theory is that you get a lot of extra AP onto those auto attacks. I still feel... Oh, as Cabochard gets grabbed.
We may not be able to answer that question. Shockwave on 3! Fisher Fisher comes down and the baby cage locks in Vitality! They can't escape! It's a double kill for Power of Evil, and Alfari loses his life. My word, a 5-man cataclysm. Ignar fancies himself another shot. Minions are blocking the way. Oh. Where is the rocket grab? He's looking for Nuke Duck. He's fishing for Nuke. Oh! He gets it!
The flash into predictive hook. Take a bow, Ignar.
And that's got the Misfits chance flying in Berlin.
Oh, he makes it look too easy. The first hook, Nuke Duck dodges out. Cabochard gets hit by another hook that wasn't meant for him. And 5-man dunk into the damaged Malfari. He knows he's dead at this point, and it was all a bait after the shockwave. The autos, they're enough to finish it off. And look, Ignar just lining it up, waiting, stalking Nuke Duck. He knows he's getting it. He can already see the hook. Flash! Got him!
Oh, Berlin, I love you guys! The build-up and the crowd cheer. Ignar's Blitzcrank. Man, this guy is just... Oh, damn it, Dracos. This guy is popping off. Just such a great couple of weeks. And
have you said Hella and popping off in the same
I believe that I have. I have indeed. Ignar.
Are you getting ready for Rift Rivals?
Hold on.
Over here.
I have here I said earlier. Let's see what happens. Joko's Ragnarocking. He's not going to get caught by the rocket grab. Ends up being caught out. Alfari's going to put the Cataclysm down into 3. Hansama and Nuke Duck going toes for toe. The shockwave not going to be enough as Nuke Duck is able to flash away from it. Nuke Duck will get caught up by Maxlaw here. Running for his life.
Spider.
Maxlaw takes a volley to the face. He's already used Repel Cocoon. Steelback underneath the tower. But Steelback sidesteps, gets out of range. Now Ignar's in trouble. Nuke Duck takes another tower shot. How on earth has Vitality done this? They've won the fight.
They fractured Misfits throughout the entire fight, and Power of Evil, look at him. He's still so high in health, but hasn't got Get the autos. Where is it?
Go Nash's Tooth. Go. Get those autos down.
That was underwhelming.
Don't know if I'm a believer yet.
Hey, look, Brom, super effective against Nash's Tooth Orianna. Puts the shield up and nothing really happens. So this is how the fight started. We saw a lot of focus here. Hansama has to flash out over the Ashe Arrow just to get himself to safety. Then Nuke Duck picks a fight. He knows he can take this fight as long as he just dodges out the damage that comes from the Orianna. Shockwave well flashed out from, and Alfari had gone aggressive into the backline, did not connect. Maxlaw had turned, peeled away to try and get the kill. Wasn't able to close the gap on Nuke Duck. And from there, honestly, at this point, Misfits just can't really take the fight. Ignar, he's just praying he had his ultimate available.
Yep.
But it wasn't. He'd already used it in the fight. And Vitality fighting back in this team fight quite spectacularly.
Oh, it really is. Look, when we come out of this, take stock of the situation. They're still down 5,000 gold. They got 1 tower to 4. But Power of Evil's on-hit Orianna, is that even a thing? I guess we'll see how the rest of the build plays out. Looks like he's going towards...
He's going Rabadon's next.
Looks like he's going towards Death Cap.
It's going to be like Death Cap Lichbane
to
finish this build out.
That would be pretty epic. Let's see if he does. Having a little bit of fun with it. Definitely winning over some hearts. It's an interesting style. The whole Misfit squad, I mean... Ignore on this Blitzcrank, really good performance. And just saying, by the way, 24 kills in about 24.5 minutes.
You and these
that is half the game time, half the kills of the previous match. All right, let's see if we can keep this up. Blue Sentinel, mine. Yells. Sentinel slowly getting bored. Picked up by Power of Evil.
Secures it with the extra auto attack. All that power comes through. The power of Evil.
It is indeed. Unsummer, by the way, was close enough for Chain of Corruption. Decided not to fire it. And we've kind of devolved into a little bit of anarchy here in Game 3.
I mean, did we want order or chaos?
I actually only wanted chaos.
Yeah, that's why I picked the chaos icon in client. That's what we're going for. Maybe that's what Vitality and Misfits are running. There's one guy here's picked the chaos.
The rest of the guys
it's like, yeah, I'm going to be Yasuo, mate.
Order tokens. That's the only thing that felt bad. I wanted chaos to win. Just hate supporting Yasuo.
But then it's Riven is for order, so you can't really, like...
At least Riven 1 tricks are skilled players. Ooh. Yeah, calling out all those Yasuo 1 tricks.
I mean, I'm not a Yasuo player, so that's horrible.
All right, steal back. Definitely needs to get better accuracy. Power of Evil. Flashed away from the undertow.
It's about sending a message.
Yeah, Joko sent a message. Hi, bye. Ran past with Ghost and Ragnarok.
So Alphari, however, Guardian Angel has been picked up. That means next time he gets that 5-person Cataclysm and he gets killed, he will come back and maybe get one more EQ combo in a fight. But that's probably about it.
But that's
important.
Not
survive longer.
See, that's important because Power of Evil can get more autos down. What would actually be next level? What would be next level is Power of Evil win Hurricane, 4th item, and then let Alphari lock people in the Cataclysm, and then he just Hurricane them with his passive to death.
And then we're going to get Zeke's Convergence, we'll get an Ardent Sensor, we'll get everything.
Hey, I'm down. I'm down. If Misfits are keen, they've got a big lead. They have 4 kills, and they're going to pick up another Mountain Drake here. There's no contest from Vitality. And it's another... scaling item, another advantage that Misfits can just accrue.
I love when Power of Evil comes with these ridiculous builds, because you're like, there is no way that is as efficient as the regular build. And then he wins every game that he does this.
Based analysis, 6, 3, and 5. Ignar got the flash available. Rocket Grab is primed, but Misfits don't fancy a fight. Look how they're splitting up on the minimap, because there are 2 large waves pushing towards them, Stress. So the game has slowed down, and it's kind of returned to a little bit of normality.
Yep.
As Vitality are trying to chase Misfits and punish them.
And speaking of a team whose playstyle maybe hasn't always been normality, Fnatic warming up for their series against H2K today. You already saw the H2K guys warming up themselves. Going to be a hype series.
It will indeed.
But this has been hype. Like this, we've had Blitzcranks roaming the map, getting the surprise hooks on Nuke Duck.
More important,
there's a lot left in this game as well.
We had 48 kills in Game 2. Okay, that is what matters to me. That is what makes me happy. And teams really just commit to the chaos. All right, Misfits, come on now. They need to make a play. They've not really set up around Baron. They've not really pushed super heavily, but it feels like that's what they're doing. Stress, what are the next steps for the Misfits squad?
So for Misfits, they maybe either need Vitality to give them a pick in the way that they have done time and time again in previous games, or for Misfits, it's a case of just starting it off. Orianna will have significant Baron damage utilizing this build, so they may be able to rush it down quite quickly, but the fact of the matter is Nuke Duck will be able to always push back one of the side lanes. You can see Kabashad has his teleport available, so he'll go down there and absorb this Jarvan for a while, but Misfits haven't been able to build off the lead. They built Jarvan in the early game for a very long time now.
No, they haven't, but Alphari's Cataclysms have been phenomenal.
Yeah, they have.
He's really been able to find multi-man targets, multiple fights in a row. And as it stands, Alphari is now continuing to shove out this bottom lane. Something I have just been informed by our stats team, Stress. Misfits have secured 10 dragons this series.
Okay.
Do you know how many Vitality have?
2.
0.
Was it
not a single dragon? The Elder was the focus.
Here's the rush.
In the previous game, Cabingod's going to teleport, but thanks to the Nash's Tooth and Blade of the Ruin King on Hansama.
Oh, it hits Maxlaw.
All right, let's see. Where is the threat? Glacial Fissure comes down. Maxlaw's going to need to rappel up into the air. Chain of Corruption. Not going to split and teleport used. Equalizer. Ash Arrow. Vitality just have to wave goodbye to the objective as Baron was secured.
Misfits with a clean Baron. Nothing really that Vitality could have done to defend against that, except for utilizing that TP quicker. They just weren't in a position because of the vision control that Misfits had. So now they're up against the Baron buff, looking at this Jarvan that can push out on the Rumble, on the Lucian. The Orianna's over in the side lane as well. Remember, no teleport on Power of Evil's Orianna. It's a heal on this one. And we're getting late on in the items. Gargoyle Stoneplate now completed for Alphari. If that's a Locket that follows, we saw what happened in Game 2. Even though it was a losing effort, those Locket shields are huge.
Yeah, and of course the Abyssal Mask from Maxlaw. That's going to benefit the on-hit damage from Power of Evil. I figured out, by the way, Power of Evil played Corki a couple times. He's just in the auto-attack mid-lane mode. And he just replaced a mid-lane auto-attacker with another, that's all. We'll see.
This is like the same build he had when he played Smite Runeglaive. Like, this is almost the same thing all the way back in the 2015 season.
All right, Ignite's going a little bit fishing. Nobody's biting, though, as Vitality are able to move away. The bottom outer turret was dropped. Mid-inner is the only turret remaining outside of Vitality's base. And Misfits, they're playing this one pretty clean. They got that Baron safely and without real cost. And now they're just protecting this cannon minion, waiting for the next minion wave.
Yeah, just a case of walking the minion in. Jarvan's coming down. Hang on, that arrow landed on Hansama.
It was the key target. Hansama's running for his life. The turn. Cataclysm under the tower. That locks Vander in. Steelback forced to flash away to safety. Nobody's died yet, but the inhibitor turret will. And Misfits, they baited the engage and responded. Fantastic.
Yeah, that inner tower goes down now. Now they're looking for that inhibitor tower in the middle lane, but they're going to back away because there is no wave alongside it. So it's slow and steady for Misfits, trying to advance this lead, but they don't feel comfortable enough to just aggressively go for play after play after play. And again, it's going to give Vitality opportunities to come back in this game.
Yeah. And I'm really struggling with Joker's Olaf at this point. It was picked fairly early on in the draft. He's been locked in the Cataclysm multiple times. Didn't really snowball a huge amount. And when you consider other picks were up and available, like the Kha'Zix, like the Lee Sin, you just have to wonder, what was the intention? What did they want to look for?
Well, early on, they were trying to take it into the Elise so that you can at least match some of the trading early game. The difficulty with playing Olaf is when the team then goes, okay, I will just play Jarvan in the top lane because it's meta, then suddenly you kind of get hard counted. And that's the problem that you're alluding to that they're running into. So I don't necessarily think it's the pick being bad, but it's so difficult to pull off.
Yeah, and look at the mini-map. Misfits are pulling off the 1-3-1 really, really well. Wave clear, but in the mid lane.
Power of Evil has to be careful here. Like, he cannot push all the way up to the inhibitor, but Alphari can.
All right, well, Alphari's going to take that one down. Power of Evil's finished the recall. By the way, this will be the first dragon of the series for Vitality. Well, not this time around. Infernal Drake picked up. The opportunity was there. At the cost of an inhibitor in the top lane.
Not worth.
No, we've gone back to level one, game one shenanigans from the Vitality squad. And also, Stress, I'm extremely disappointed in both of these teams.
Okay.
The last time somebody died was at 23 minutes, 46 seconds on the clock.
10 minutes ago.
It's over 10 minutes without a kill.
Was that the Mad Life hook as well?
It was indeed. It's just shocking.
I mean, maybe everybody's just leaving it because nobody can get a more flashy kill in this game. Maybe that's it.
Okay, we're waiting for the flashiness then. Super Minions top lane means, well, Misfits can push the other lanes and do it.
It's going to be, look, we're nearly there on Locket Stoneplate again. Like, I love that games are going late enough so that we're seeing this, but I think people are going to get really bored of it if it happens every single game.
I feel like it'll get changed soon.
Maybe just a little bit.
Just a thought.
When you give like 10,000 health worth of shield across the team, it's a little bit silly.
It is indeed. But it is difficult to pull off, of course. If there is something to say for it.
Olaf's looking for it as well. This is actually going to be a team fight of just who can not die like with all of the shields for the longest. Like, if your shield survives for the full duration and it never gets...
I mean, we're going to have 4 Lockets in the game because both Ignite and Vander already have theirs completed. Alphari and Joker are working towards them. And Misfits, their Baron has worn off. They lost or conceded the Infernal Drake a few moments ago. It just feels like a matter of time before they start going for the mid or the bottom lane.
The difficulty Vitality have in this game compared to the last one is they don't have that Twitch, they don't have the Orianna that have that late game power in team fights. They're running an Ashe, they're running a Lucian who can have damage, but you really have to be in a position to constantly output with auto attacks. You cannot really be falling back in the team fight, and considering they are down 10,000 gold, this should be a Misfits win.
Yeah, of course. They're not going to be able to stand toe-to-toe with cocoons, rocket grabs, shockwaves, cataclysms, all these tools that can just lock Vitality down. The one thing that I do want to say, Vitality have played better than I anticipated they would.
Right, I agree.
A team that has struggled for a fairly lengthy period of time, has had glimmers of hope at different times, but Nukeduck is consistently being a threat in summer. Caboshard is showing on Rumble, he has some proficiency, and it's just this macro, these team-based decisions that we continue seeing them fall apart. Vander's caught out, look at all that CC by the way. Cocoon, Chain of Corruption, Rocket Grab.
Java arrives, where's the dunk?
It's just gonna flag and drag out to safety, and a full channel on the culling. Drops Ignor, piercing arrow comes down. You don't really want to hook Vander, as long as he's got the wall up. Ashe arrow goes wide, Steelback not having the greatest accuracy. Steelback is locked in. The hot the equalizer. Shockwave is dodged by a few, but not by Steelback. Caboshard is just dropped down. It's a double kill for Hansama, and Misfits are pouring down the mid lane. Look at the flag drag knock-up flash from Alfari. 3 kills, and Misfits use their lead.
That is going to be the game for Misfits now, securing the win, easily able to get into the fight. Vitality, they'd already backed away from Misfits, but tried to re-engage. Now Nukeduck's going to get caught out.
Ignor with another fantastic play. Flash power fist into the rocket grab. Misfits with the minions are knocking over the Nexus turrets, and Ignor's Blitzcrank was a game changer, but Misfits' confidence in game 3 take down Vitality for the win.
A long series, a fun series, and honestly, at the end of it, Misfits with a result that after game 1 looked all but certain.
Yep.
And after game 2, it looked very shaky because despite being ahead, Vitality were holding on for dear life, and actually getting that game 2 win is such a significant thing.
Yeah, it really is. Handshakes across the board here for Misfits, and the crowd really got behind Misfits and Ignor throughout the course of game 3. Hell yeah, we did, thanks to that guy. And just, big shout-outs. I think still seeing some progression, some development from Vitality. I'm excited to see them put up a fight in game 2.
Yeah.
Not give up, not concede, and their team fights definitely worked out very well.
Yes, the team fights worked out well for Misfits. A couple of shaky moments where you look at their lanes. Parabeeble losing lane in one of the games. Alfari struggling a little against Cabo. I think for Misfits, it's kind of a loss, a win that they'll put in the back of their mind and not focus on too much going forward. They'll be looking at the wins like over G2 more than anything, but I think this is maybe a more telling set of games in the G2 series. I think you'll learn more from these than the G2 games.
I mean, you see the huge smiles on their faces, and I agree with what you're saying in terms of the decision-making and some of the messiness. Misfits can definitely afford to clean that up. Anyways, Misfits Gaming, they came out on top in this series against Vitality. Let's send it to the analyst desk for a closer look at the series.
Thank you very much. Indeed, very interesting series overall, and I'm happy it went all the way to 3 games, and we saw some fight from both teams. Not just Misfits, who we actually expected to win the series, but also Vitality just showing some fight and not just rolling over and dying. That was nice to see. Unfortunately for them, they lost this game. And I want to talk to you guys about the draft specifically, because, Fisher, I did hear you say when you saw the draft from Vitality, this is not the way they want to draft because they aren't playing to any of their possible strengths.
Right. The draft in itself is not bad.
No.
But I just don't think it fits the team, as you just said, because Vitality, against the better teams in Europe, have not been able to get an early lead and then snowball it. They can get early advantages, but very often they will then make some mistakes and fall behind. So I think actually the way to go for them is like what we saw in game 2, where you draft a really strong late game, like very late game scaling comp, Twitch, Orianna, these kind of picks. And you kind of rely on this team, like Misfits, to then not be able to just outright beat you in late game team fights. But I think when Vitality go for this kind of draft where they need to snowball early game, they're not good enough at doing that. And it often ends up just very quickly falling apart, and then they don't really have a comeback mechanic.
Yeah, for sure, Lucian mid, as you mentioned, as we did mention, relies on that snowball, did not happen. And I also liked what what Misfits were going for. They went really back to their roots with a pick composition, really, that they enjoy playing, especially with the Blitzcrank, which worked out well as well. So I like the draft for Misfits.
And you also said, Henning, that you liked the way Misfits approached the early game and approached who they wanted to shut down, because it was top lane that they went to visit more often than not.
Yeah, Maxler really put a lot of pressure, helping out Alfari up in the top side, and I think that's really smart because both because it's a Jarvan into a Rumble, but also because the Illusion mid really, if he gets that snowball going, he wants to go to a side lane, and he also is running the exhaust, which means that he could potentially duel a Jarvan, but if you get the Jarvan snowballing, there's no way that Illusion's been able to contest that.
Or Nola.
Well, or Nola, yeah, very true. Luckily here for Vitality, Joko did get a return kill. Sadly, and for Vitality, second time around, Joko is not close enough to really help his top laner. And despite Max Law not making it all the way inside the Jarvan cage, it is enough to obviously take down Capushot. And it's a really cool point because Jarvan, of course, is a champion in Europe. We've seen some really bad games where he would like fall behind early, just do nothing, be completely useless. But if he gets ahead, he's so powerful at actually moving around the map and joining in these picks with a Blitzcrank, with an Elise. Like, if you get hit by one guy, you can hit by 2 or 3 guys right after.
Yeah, and I quickly want to move on to the next refill because we also have an interview waiting. But I did want to take a look at that Wombo combo again in the mid lane where Power of Evil gets a wonderful Shockwave off and then followed up by beautiful Jarvan.
Shockwave into Alfari being the man to look at right there. 5-man Jarvan ulti dealing damage to everyone, and that just means the rest of Misfits can easily ignore this tower here and get onto Vitality. And it's not over yet.
No.
It is over.
Yeah, no, it's going to come back to it. So there's one here.
We're going to see some ignore hooks.
Yep.
Wait for it.
Yeah.
Wait for it. Capushot's like, guys.
Oh!
The signature Blitzcrank pick there, coming out of Ignar.
I don't know if we're going to see a...
Hiding around the corner.
Yeah,
I mean, there it is.
Oh.
And that is just baited, outsmarted, everything, completely predicted by Ignar. Great game from him on Blitzcrank.
Yeah, great game from him, indeed. Great job by Misfits overall. Maybe final thoughts. Vitality, a bit of fight. Nice to see. Misfits, maybe some question marks. Or
I don't know. I mean,
not really.
I think Misfits looked pretty good overall. Losing to a full late game comp was not terrible at the end. They've obviously been able to close out the game, but I think Misfits pretty decent.
All right, I'm sorry to rush you. I asked the question. I asked the question, but the interview's ready.
I'm going to ask a question, but I don't actually want to hear an answer.
Stop talking. Misfits Gaming's mid laner. He had a great performance against Vitality. Let's hear what he has to say after that win.
That's just truth.
Thank you very much, Shox. I am joined by Power of Evil, the player of the series. Congratulations on that.
Thanks.
As you can hear, a lot of crowd support for you today. Now, I want to talk a little bit about your picks this series. Corki come back into the meta, and then you played Orianna in that last game as well with a very interesting build.
Well, so I like hockey a lot. I played it last split as well, and it just really fits my playstyle. It's like poke, but you're kind of a control mage as well. So you have your range and you have your poke. It worked out first game really good. And second game, I felt like we played really good in the early mid game. We got the dragons, and since we don't have the late game comp, we needed these infernal dragons really badly. And you could just see in the late game, I don't know, there was like one time, one team fight I trolled really hard, but besides that, I think our team fights were good, and they just had the late game team fights combination with Twitch.
Yeah, it happens. Like sometimes the late game of the other team's just slightly better. I'm going to push you, though. Nash's Tooth on Orianna. Like, I know Runeglaive was great for you. I know it was a great meta. Why are you building Nash's Tooth?
Well, especially against Lucian or like AD champions mid lane, it's just, I feel like, really good build, since if you go to Morello's item build, you get one shot on level 6. Lucian just use Cutlet and just ults you, and you're literally 100 to 0 death. And with this item build, you get like early HP, so you can't all in you anymore. So you can pretty much just try to farm up with the Roar. You get enough AP from the Roar, and the Nashos kind of seals the deal because you don't need more AP. So you lose like 20 AP, but you get so much damage on the auto attacks. And since Lucian is like in your attack range, you can deal a lot of damage.
That makes a lot of sense. Let's talk about a couple of the changes for Misfits in this split. You brought Maxlaw on, a couple of tough weeks early on, but you really seem to be finding a groove with him now. What is it that's changed in the Misfits that is helping you win these games?
Well, Maxlaw is really different from Kakao. Maxlaw is talking way more in games. He's shot calling the whole early game. So it's really easy for me, especially, just to just to hack the right side, know where enemy jungler is because he's just calling and he's around here. So it's really, really easy for me as mid laner, and I feel like from week to week we improve as mid lane jungler synergy as well. So the last weeks we didn't get as many kills together, but today you could see that like one or twice we got like solo kills together and just feeling really good. The only thing about him is that he's always making fun of my arena item build.
Makes sense. You actually got the most fantasy points of any player this split with the amount of kills you got, so hopefully you've got yourself on your fantasy team. Final question before we toss to a break. I want to talk about Rift rivals. In a couple of weeks' time, NA versus EU. We've heard Perk say NA isn't going to win a single game across the entire thing. Forbidden thinks it's a lot closer. What are your thoughts?
Well, so I honestly think that EU is way stronger than NA, but you should never underestimate an opponent. Like, especially last Worlds, you could see that Russia League just got out of groups and played really, really good. So I would say EU greater than NA.
Have you watched much NA this split?
Yes, I watched some games.
Okay, I don't usually watch wildcard regions, so it's not something I'm usually been tuning into. Anyway, guys, we are going to go to a quick break before Fnatic and H2K fight off on the Rift up next. Make sure you join us then.
Here comes Joko. Alfari gets first blood. Joko responds. Yash arrow. Newtuck is going to dash over the wall. Ignor will pick up a kill. There's a hook onto Cabo. He's under the tower. And Power of Evil gets another.
Nice! Nice!
Well played. Lucian not flash. Lucian not flash.
Nice low. Nice!
Steelback is locked in. Equalizer. Shockwave is dodged by a few, but not by Steelback. Gavashot has just dropped down. It's a double kill for Hansama. Game changer. But Misfits' confidence in